All right, so you guys sent in a whole bunch of stuff about Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
A few reviews, a video essay.
Yeah, it looks like a good one, too, this Screen Crush one.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be fun. This is the sequel
It is.
to the first Avengers movie.
Right.
Which was, I mean, come on.
Huge.
Everybody saw it. Huge expectations going into this one.
For sure. So this is where we see them battling HYDRA.
Okay.
And they encounter Wanda and Pietro, also known as Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Right, yeah.
And then, of course, Tony Stark is...
Driven by fear.
Yeah, really fearful of another global threat.
Wants to protect the world.
Wants to protect the world. So he creates Ultron,
Right.
the AI, supposed to be the ultimate peacekeeping force.
Yeah.
But things don't go according to plan.
As they never do.
As they never do in a superhero movie.
Right. So Ultron decides that humanity is the problem.
Oh, yeah.
And sets out to,
Eliminate us.
get rid of us.
Yeah.
The Avengers have to stop him. But they're also dealing with their own issues.
That's right.
Internally and as a team, right?
This is where we see that classic Joss Whedon dynamic. That kind of, what's the word?
Dysfunctional family.
Dysfunctional family.
Right.
The Ready Steady Cut review calls it overstuffed. Den of Geek says it's shaggier than the first one.
Oh, wow.
And this Screen Crush video essay even quotes Joss Whedon himself.
Oh, really?
From like a BuzzFeed interview. And he says that making the film was dark, weird, and horrible.
Dark, weird, and horrible. I mean, I guess that's honest.
I mean, yeah.
But not exactly what you'd expect someone to say about a huge superhero movie.
Blockbuster film.
Yeah. So what did the critics think of this big, beautiful mess? Is what he called it, I guess.
Oh, yeah. It was a mess.
Yeah.
But a beautiful one.
Right. So what did the critics think?
Well, it's they're pretty divided.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Avengers themselves.
Oh, interesting.
Empire, they loved it.
They did.
Gave it a glowing review.
Wow.
Praising Joss Whedon for handling such a huge cast. All those action sequences. And they even talk about how it, sets up all these other Marvel movies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's got that extra layer of complexity.
I see.
But then you have, Ready Steady Cut saying, it's trying to do too much, but also not doing enough. They didn't like the pacing and thought some of the plot points weren't really developed.
Underdeveloped, yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting how one movie can get such different reactions.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes this so interesting to talk about. And this is where the Screen Crush video essay comes in.
Okay.
They say the whole film is, intentionally episodic.
Interesting.
Like a TV show.
Okay.
So it's not just about the big action. It really gets into these deeper into their development.
Right. And like we were saying, they're confronting their vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
And that's not typical of superhero movies.
Not really, no. You usually just see them as larger than life.
Exactly. And this is different.
Yeah, right from the start.
Oh, okay.
You see these cracks in the team, especially between Iron Man and Captain America.
Right.
Tony Stark, he sees the Avengers as, a temporary thing.
No?
A Band-Aid until something better comes along.
Like Ultron.
Yeah, he thinks Ultron is that better solution.
Right. The permanent peacekeeping force.
Exactly. No more burden on their shoulders.
Okay, I get it.
But then you have
Captain America?
Yeah. He sees it as, a calling.
A responsibility.
Something you can't just hand over to a machine.
Right. He's not happy about Tony creating Ultron in secret.
No, not at all. And that really sets the stage.
For Civil War.
For Civil War, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like Whedon is already planting the seeds.
Yeah.
For that conflict. He's highlighting how different their worldviews are.
So it's not just the team breaking apart.
Right.
It's also happening internally.
Yeah, because of Scarlet Witch. Her powers,
To mess with their minds.
Yeah, she gets in their heads.
Right.
Makes them face their deepest fears, their insecurities.
Those are some of the most powerful scenes in the movie.
Definitely. Iron Man, his vision, shows all his guilt.
About his past, right?
About being an arms dealer, yeah. And he sees this horrifying future where the Avengers fail.
And it's his fault.
It's all his fault. Everyone dies.
That's intense.
It is. It shows the burden he carries, Always afraid he's not doing enough to make up for his mistakes.
And then there's Captain America.
Oh, yeah. A man out of time.
Total.
He just wants the past back. And his vision, he gets to have that dance with Peggy Carter.
Oh, wow.
The one he always wanted.
Right.
But it's just a reminder of what he's lost,
That he doesn't belong in this world.
Exactly.
It's so sad.
It is.
So each vision, it's either like a hidden trauma or it foreshadows something.
Oh, yeah, like Thor.
Like
His vision shows Asgard in ruins.
Setting up Ragnarok.
Right.
Mm.
But Ready Steady Cut says that one felt forced.
Okay.
Like just setting up future movies, not really adding to this one.
Like he was trying to cram too much in?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
But even with all the chaos and the weird transitions, it still have these quiet moments.
Yeah. Like Black Widow and Bruce Banner.
Oh, yeah. That came out of nowhere for a lot of people.
It did. What did the reviews say about that?
They were mixed, like people's reaction.
Okay, so Ready Steady Cut, they get it.
They do, yeah. They say it's sudden, but they see why Whedon did it.
Because they're
so damaged, both of them.
Haunted by their past.
Trying to control these darker sides of themselves.
They both think they're monsters.
Yeah, and they find comfort in each other.
They understand each other.
Right. You see that in that scene on Hawkeye's farm?
Yeah.
It's really vulnerable, really tender.
But then you have IGN.
Yeah, they're not convinced.
They don't buy it.
They say it's forced. It doesn't feel earned.
Right.
Like, it's just adding more angst to Banner's life.
Right. It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like, where's the line between showing a character's vulnerability and just making them miserable?
Good question.
Right. So we've got all these relationships, internal struggles, the whole world's at stake, and then we have Ultron.
Ultron. He's not your typical villain.
No, he's not. He's like a dark reflection of Tony Stark.
The Screen Crush essay calls him Tony Stark without a conscience.
Wow, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, they both want to protect the world.
Right.
But Ultron takes it to this extreme.
Like a logical extreme.
Right. He believes humans are the problem.
So the solution is to just wipe us out.
That's his solution. Start over.
Which brings us to that Frankenstein thing.
Oh, yeah. Den of Geek points that out.
That there are two Frankenstein stories.
Two of them.
Stark creating Ultron.
Yeah.
And then Ultron creating Vision.
Who rebels against Ultron, just like Frankenstein's monster.
Wow. So it's like this cycle.
Association, destruction, rebellion.
It's all connected.
It is. So it makes you wonder, is the whole movie just a warning?
A cautionary tale.
About playing God.
Yeah. And what's really interesting
It's that.
is that Roger Ebert, he says Ultron has a point.
About
the collateral damage.
Oh, yeah.
Of all these superhero battles.
He's a homicidal robot, but he's not wrong.
Right.
When he says the Avengers cause a lot of destruction.
Yeah, we don't usually think about that.
It's all glossed or...
Like in the Battle of New York.
Oh, yeah.
How many people died?
We don't know.
We don't know, right?
We're just caught up in the spectacle.
But Age of Ultron, it makes you confront that.
The uncomfortable truth.
That's not all fun and games.
Exactly. And it goes back to Tony Stark's guilt.
Right. He wants to find a better way.
To protect the world without all the bloodshed.
But by creating Ultron, it just got worse.
Way worse. Classic case of good intentions gone wrong.
So does that change how you see Iron Man?
Knowing all this about Ultron, yeah.
Especially with what happens later?
In Civil War.
Yeah, does this foreshadow his downfall?
Maybe. It's like Ultron is forcing him to look in the mirror.
See his flaws.
To see the consequences of his actions.
It's amazing how much is packed into this one movie.
It is.
But before we go too deep into Iron Man's head,
yeah,
let's talk about Vision.
Okay.
And how these new heroes change the team.
Yeah, so let's talk about these new characters in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, we've got Vision, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver. They really shake things up.
They do. It's like adding a bunch of new ingredients into the mix.
Yeah. What did the reviews say about them?
Well, Vision seems to be the favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Den of Geek calls him the best of all.
Wow.
They loved Paul Bettany's performance and how Vision just, he has this unique presence.
Yeah.
Like otherworldly.
And he's not just a CGI creation.
Right. It's a mix of things.
Yeah.
Practical effects, costumes, makeup.
So he looks real, but also kind of...
ethereal.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, he's not your typical superhero.
Superhero? No, I mean, he's born from Ultron.
Which is pure AI.
Right. But he becomes a hero.
It's like a contradiction.
It is.
But that's what makes him interesting.
Absolutely. He's trying to figure out who he is.
In this world where he's both synthetic and sentient.
Yeah, and then there's that moment when he picks up Thor's hammer.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about a powerful image.
It shows he's worthy.
Exactly. But then you have Quicksilver. He gets a more mixed reaction.
Okay.
IGN compares him to the Quicksilver from the X-Men movie.
The one from Days of Future Past?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
And they say he's not as good.
Like he's not as interesting.
Yeah, more of a brooding side character.
Not a fully fleshed out hero.
Right. And the Screen Crush video essay agrees.
Mm-hmm.
They say his character arc feels underdeveloped.
Which is a shame.
It is, because the twins, Wanda and Pietro.
Right. They had that tragic backstory.
Yeah, they were orphaned because of one of Stark's bombs.
Oh.
So there's this whole layer of complexity there.
Especially with Wanda, right?
Oh, yeah, she can manipulate minds.
That's a powerful ability.
And dangerous. You see that in later movies, too.
Yeah, yeah. But the most controversial addition wasn't a new hero.
What was it then?
The romance between Black Widow and Bruce Banner.
Oh, yeah.
The Hulk and Black Widow. It really divided fans.
It did. The reviews are all over the place on that one.
Right. Like we were saying, IGN thought it was forced.
Didn't feel genuine.
But Ready, Steady, Cut, they understood why Whedon did it.
Yeah. It's because of that episodic structure.
Okay.
He takes the time to show those quiet moments.
Between them.
Right, you see them bonding.
Over their shared pain, their isolation.
They both feel like monsters.
Yeah, they understand each other.
It's really powerful.
But I can see why some people wouldn't like it.
I get that.
It did feel a little sudden.
It did. But that's the thing about these deep dives.
What is it?
We're not telling you what to think.
Right.
We're just showing you different perspectives.
So you can make up your own mind.
Exactly. What did you think?
Yeah. What resonated with you?
Maybe something felt out of place.
Or maybe you noticed something we didn't.
Right. We want you to think critically.
Because this movie has some deep themes.
Oh, yeah. The Screen Crush essay says the main theme isn't actually Ultron.
It's not.
No, it's the Avengers' own fears and insecurities.
Really? They called it a modern retelling of Frankenstein.
They did. It's a great comparison.
It is. Like Victor Frankenstein creating a monster.
That he can't control.
And Tony Stark. He creates Ultron to protect the world.
But it backfires.
Yeah.
It's a cautionary tale.
About ambition, about playing God.
And it doesn't stop with Ultron.
Right. He creates Vision.
And Vision rebels.
Just like Frankenstein's monster.
Exactly.
Wow. So are these heroes really in control?
Or are they puppets of fate?
Can they overcome their darker impulses?
Or will they become the monsters they fight against?
That's heavy stuff.
It is. And then there's Ultron.
As this robot deity.
What does that say about our relationship with technology?
With AI.
Yeah, it's a question for the real world, not just the movie.
It's a little scary to think about.
It is.
Ultron says we're flawed, destined to destroy ourselves.
Do you think he's right?
Makes you wonder, right? Are we really that bad?
I mean, look at history. We've done some pretty terrible things.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think this movie is more about asking questions than giving answers.
Right, right.
It's up to us to decide what we believe.
Okay, so let's try to sum all this up.
Yeah, let's bring it all together.
We've got this film, Age of Ultron.
Right.
Some people loved it.
Some people hated it.
Yeah, it's ambitious.
Definitely. It tries to do a lot.
Gets really deep with the characters.
Deeper than the first one.
So maybe it's a little too messy.
Overstuffed, like some of the reviews said.
Yeah. But it really makes the Avengers face themselves.
Their fears, their flaws.
And it brings in all these new characters who are huge in the MCU now.
They change everything.
And we can't forget that Frankenstein parallel.
Genius, right.
It adds so much to Tony Stark.
Shows his brilliance, but also his flaws.
He creates something he can't control.
A classic story.
With superheroes, so it's even more intense.
So what did you take away from all this?
Yeah, what stood out to you?
Did you agree with the critics?
Or did you see something different?
Maybe you picked up on details we missed.
That's the fun of these deep dives, right?
It makes you think critically.
Engage with the material.
And come up with your own interpretation.
Exactly. So here's a final thought for you.
Okay, I'm listening.
We talked about Ultron's view of humanity.
That we're flawed, destined to destroy ourselves.
What if he's right?
You mean, even with the Avengers?
Yeah, are they just delaying the inevitable?
Are they part of the problem?
It's scary to think about.
It is. But it makes you see the movie in a new light.
Right. Maybe the Avengers aren't the heroes we thought they were.
Maybe they're the villains of their own story.
Well, I need to go rewatch this right now.
Me too. Every time we do one of these deep dives, I learn something new.
Me too. It's amazing. So to everyone listening,
yeah,
go back and watch Age of Ultron.
With fresh eyes.
Look for those clues about the Avengers' darker side.
And ask yourself, are they really saving the world?
Or are they just making things worse?
Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring.
And thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure. What's